and welcome to the Open Book channel. My name is Oleander, your designated open book. In this series that I've been doing, I've talked a lot to unnamed groups of people using Gen AI. And if anyone watching those videos isn't chronically online or up to date on the climate of AI use for content creation, it might sound like I'm making it all out to be worse than it is. And I wish that were the case. I wish I didn't see posts online every day still of people advocating for what I'd frankly consider overuse of Gen AI for tasks, or companies slipping AI into their marketing like it's not obvious to everyone seeing it that was an active decision they made to replace genuine human effort, and it looks worse, in my opinion. There will always be pro-Gen AI users that think the benefits outweigh the cost, and nothing I can say will dissuade them from that stance. We're both aware of the same information, our ethics are just opposite ends of the spectrum. Those who use Gen AI for creation, far beyond what could be considered a tool and menial parts of the process, are not my peers, and they're not who I'm trying to reach out to right now. I want to talk directly to people who I do consider my peers. Creators who do make genuine works themselves, but indulge in Gen AI through other areas that aren't their main passion. Just because someone uses Gen AI quietly or for another purpose other than what they're mainly trying to create doesn't make it better. It kind of makes it worse, actually, because in those cases it's not even helping achieve a goal. It's just used because it's there, and that's unacceptable, actually irresponsible. All that intellectual theft to train Gen AI and all of the environmental impacts it causes to exist. And it's being used by people to make like extra bits that don't really matter, even to them. I don't want to start a civil war with a company of established professionals that I truly do respect, but I am upset that such a well-renowned company would allow itself to present the image of the average author as someone who uses Gen AI for placeholder aesthetics. We need to be better than that. This should not be acceptable to present under and to represent a powerhouse service provider for self-published authors. I'm disappointed in Reedsy. I don't want to put the presenter of this presentation for Reedsy Studio on blast, so I've blurred out their face and name. Although they are the one who did this, presumably for their own personal use, I am more disappointed that Reedsy greenlit this presentation with Gen AI forward images. It's a short video showing the updates and features of Reedsy Studio now in 2025 and how the presenter uses it for their books. I understand that not everyone is as fluent with identifying Gen AI art markers, so I'm going to point out the ones that were apparent to me and where, to validate my stance on its use by this individual and as an allowance for the company's image. The first and most obvious Gen AI image appears in the presenter's book library. The first cover could just be a painting. The third cover is an illustration, which I can't see any obvious tells for at this resolution, but there are some oddly placed items which I can't tell what's going on. I'm not entirely sure on that one. The second cover image, however, that isn't actually a cover but two very similar but slightly different pictures stacked on top of each other, I'm strategically guessing is AI generated. The effort to make two images so similar but different enough in ways like the fox's and bunny's arms moving is just not an effort that someone hired to render for a cover would make between thumbnails, mainly because it is too rendered to be a thumbnail. Same goes for the foliage. It's repeated flowers and mushrooms, but different enough in placement, structure, and proportions that they aren't simply warped with a liquify tool or color grading to match a different background. Either the bunny's face is melting, or it's supposed to only have one eye, its ear seems to be duplicating a bit. The set of balloons between the two images is quite different and suspended in air attached to nothing. The foreground is a vibrant jumble of slightly drippy flowers, and the very different backgrounds don't have consistency and where or how they fade off. All this to say, I believe these are two images produced by the same Gen AI prompt. The presenter goes on to show us a work in progress of theirs, divided up into plot beats and character sheets, and several of the images used for their visualizations are AI images. The suspected AI images have extremely similar landscaping of valleys with a snaking river or road. The character Miller's is squashed in there to the side of him, so it's visible but not at all natural, much like the cottage in The Mentors. The full landscape, as you can see, is not a mirror split image because it's asymmetrical. It's just supposed to be some road that diverges into two from each of its wheel tracks, and the left just disappears into nothing. And both of the human characters presented have that saturated, detailed realism that's still somehow super smoothed over. Like the children's cover, I believe these were all created by very similar prompts to maintain an aesthetic across them, and which says to me that they were generated by the presenter themselves. The likelihood that they just so happened to find several AI images online made by the same prompt is unlikely over having generated it themselves. That's my evidence, though everything I point to is alleged. I have no confirmation these are AI images, just educated guesses. Regardless, they present as AI images. And the thing that bothers me the most is that the presenter speaks a bit on their work in progress and how its setting and atmosphere is based on the Scottish Highlands, but these images are not the Scottish Highlands, they're AI. Even if they were more aesthetic, they're not more accurate. They're not a better reference for writing inspiration because they're not real. And that's my point of why this is so damaging. These are just placeholder images, mood board inspiration. I can understand an author swaying to the appeal of an AI book cover for budget purposes, but this is AI for the sake of AI. There is no way that any genuine stock images of the location wouldn't have been just as good, if not better. The fact that this was allowed to be posted on Reedsy and the presenter is presented to us as your average self-published author is harmful. This shouldn't be seen as the norm. Even if they're not using it in their writing, Gen AI in any capacity is bad for all the same reasons in other fields of creation. What is the most disappointing is how needlessly Gen AI was used here, and that not a single person in the comments seems to care. Except me. So to conclude, I don't want to harass this author, and I don't want Reedsy to blacklist me, but I felt it was important to speak up and criticize this presentation featuring such casual Gen AI usage. It's not just pro-AI bros or corporations trying to save a buck, we also need to be better as individuals. I've voiced my concerns, and I hope you find the strength to as well. Better behavior and changes start on a personal level. Even if you're a writer, stand up for artists. And if you're an artist, support musicians. All of our creative spaces are being damaged by Gen AI products, and the whole world is threatened by its environmental impacts, and it is within every one of us to decide not to participate. We also need to be better. Thank you for watching. If you want to support me or my videos, you can find links to my socials in the description below, and I will see you in the next video.